Hello and welcome to scrapbookingstation.com. In this video I was cleaning up after projects 1 and 2. I think I've got enough niblets left to create a piece card. So we're going to do this. It's a kid-friendly card. So I'm going to put the camera over my shoulder and we'll get started. Okay, we're going to start project 3 with the focal. In this case it's a classic. It's a pinwheel. So I'm going to go with, let's see, this is my scrap Tangelo twist. It's 2 1/4. So the first thing I want to do is create a 2 1/4 square. Once I do that, I want to cut it into corners. And so all I'm going to do is take these points and stick it right in the groove. And when I'm working with points, I like to start in the middle, which is why you saw that. And then when I cut this one, I'm going to put the point into the groove. And I'm going to set the base of my triangle right along one of the vertical grid lines. And position that. I'm going to hold down on the ruler, starting from the flat edge and moving to the point. I'm going to do the same thing with the other triangle. So now I've got my 4 triangles. Okay, once I've got the 4 triangles, what I want to do now is I'm going to flip 2 over. And that's totally arbitrary. But you want to take the flat end, put it off to your right side, and then all you want to do is bend this tip to meet the point. So now I'm going to take the other one, I'm not going to flip it over. Meet like so, and you end up with this trapezoid. And so once again, I'm not going to change anything as far as flipping it over. Once you have all your 4 pieces, you could take something like a Q-tip and curl this over. You want to go ahead and try and hold on to the point, matching up with that corner. And just kind of fluff it up a little bit, and that will just add a little bit dimension to your pinwheel. So do that with all 4 pieces. Okay, for the center of my pinwheel, I'm going to use a white coil. And this is my paper twine cording, and so I want to make as small as a loop as I can, and I'm just going to wrap it around and around and around. Pretty soon you get to something like this. Now I'm going to use some Ultra Tape, and for my card kit people, this is on the wax paper. So I just want to make a square of this. This is 1/2 inch Ultra Tape, so I am going to clip off about a 1/2 inch, doesn't need to be. So once I have that, I'm going to place my coil right on top of it. Ultra Tape is super sticky, and it's definitely got its uses. I'll wrap around the edge. I'm going to clip off right there. Okay, for the front of my card, I'm going to go with a 1/4 panel. So let me see, how do I want to cut this? It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm using my Whisper White. For my contrasting color, I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss. And I want my front panel to be 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, before I let my front panel go, I'm going to do some dry embossing. So I'm going to come up 1/4 inch. Get my embossing, or actually my scoring tool, which works as a nice dry embossing when you've got a couple of lines. So at 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to put this 1/4 inch, I want about 3/4, 5/8. So I'm going to set this 1/4 inch at 5/8, and it doesn't have to be exact, and do another score line. And so, yes, it scores if you want to create a crease, but it also creates a really nice border treatment for your panel. Okay, for the card front, we only have a couple more elements to go. While you were gone, the other thing I did is I took my paintbrush tip, and it really depends on what cardstock, and this one it doesn't make much difference, of my Versamarker, and just rubbed it across the score lines. And that just makes them stand out a little bit. Like I said, depending on which color cardstock you use, the significance of that will vary. The other thing I've got is a 4-inch piece of the same twine that I made my coil with. I've got a little piece of ribbon, and what I'm going to want to do is kind of position this somewhere in there and tie a knot around this guy, and then trim the edges. Okay, and that creates the stick for my pinwheel, and I can manipulate this ribbon once I start positioning onto my card top. So the other thing I want to do is create some banner edges coming across this way. So I'm going to try and stick with the same patterns. This is the pattern paper for my Blackberry Bliss. And to create a bannered edge, all I'm going to do is meet these two ends, snip it from the fold to the outside. That's going to create this piece, which I'm going to adhere just inside my score lines. And then I've created another one to use to match the orange, or Tangelo twist. And once again, from the fold to the edges, and this one's about a 1/4 inch. And that is just going to add interest. So let me adhere this to this, and then we're going to put our pinwheel on top of the panel. Okay, I went ahead and attached the panel to my white cardstock, and now I just kind of want to get an idea of where I want my pinwheel, which is going to be right about there. And so all I'm going to do is glue just on the bottom at these points. So I'm just going to pick one up at a time and stick it back in place. Notice that I'm not messing with this fold. So I'm going to do that for all 4 pinwheels. Again, just this corner. So I've got the blades of my pinwheel just tacked down right at the center. Next thing I want to do is put in the stick. And so I'm going to grab a mini glue dot. Make sure that the top of this goes under. Actually, here's going to be the top. So it's hidden. Yeah, I want to go a little bit catty corner. So probably something like this. Okay, once I've got that positioned where I want to, once again, this is just sticking, I'm going to cut this off inside of my front panel. And then the last thing is you want to put your quill center. So you want to pick off this little orange layer that protects the adhesive. Make sure your 4 corners are down. Pop that into the center. And that's going to be the front of the card. So now let's just start working on the inside. Okay, if you're kind of questioning why I said that, because there is no inside, Calhoun. Anyway, what we're going to do now is create the interior. And so we're going to do that with a separate piece of paper. I'm using my Tangelo Twist Solid, which matches my pinwheel. And now I want basically a 5.5 by 4 1/4, and then a 1/4 inch hinge. So I could, at this point, do a tall book fold, or just a book fold, or a tall tent fold, or a book fold, depending on where I put my 1/4 inch. In this case, I'm going to create a book fold. So I want to cut this at 5.5. So I'm going to put it in my paper trimmer and do that. And then I want to create my hinge. So I'm going to put my edge, bottom edge at 4 1/4. And I'm going to use my scoring blade and give myself a 1/4 inch hinge. Okay, now you want to crease it really good. Okay, once you crease it, you want to go ahead and put glue on the hinge, which is this 1/4 inch. You want to line it on your grid paper so that you make sure you are square. And then you're just going to put your front panel on top of that. Wiggle around a little bit just to kind of get the glue to adhere, and make sure that your front panel is square as well. Now you don't want to cross over that score line. It's actually more important that the thing be square than the glue be covered. So not only do we piece the front, but we piece the card as well. And so you've got this nice little strip here. Now on the inside, I'm just going to duplicate some banners. So I've got some scraps of my Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to situate them, moving them up and down as I want to. I cut the banners again, put some solids. Okay, I kept playing with those and found out that I overlapped one. I have them extend, excuse me, down this way. I don't flip them until the very end, which I'm going to do. But I've also heat embossed my birthday greetings with clear embossing powder right onto my Tangela Choice cardstock. Again, did my banner edges and matted it in the Whisper White. Then just did a little wraparound, and actually I do have a dimensional under here. You can use dimensionals on the inside of your card as well. So I'm going to trim that off, and that's going to be the finished piece. So I'll leave you photographs of this, and I hope you took something away with you. You can use in your own card making. Thank you for watching.